Welcome to Atmos Sleep. We bring you relaxing sleep stories inspired by unique personalities. Tonight, we stroll down the moonlit avenues of Paris in the company of fashion icon Coco Chanel. Allow the soothing ambience of the City of Lights to envelop you as we venture into the life and legacy of a woman who redefined elegance. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and let the story unfold. Your voyage to peaceful slumber begins now. A gentle evening breeze caresses the cobblestone streets of Paris. The Eiffel Tower's soft glow illuminates the city, casting dappled light through the intricate ironwork balconies and into the atelier of Coco Chanel. The hum of a vintage Singer sewing machine fills the room, creating a comforting backdrop to your thoughts. Chanel sits at her mahogany desk, focusing on a sketch of a little black dress. Her pencil dances on the paper, each stroke a new addition to a timeless legacy. Chanel's Siamese cat, Choupette, saunters in, her fur shimmering in the soft glow of a Tiffany lamp. She leaps onto a plush armchair, covered in luxuriant velvet, and closes her eyes. The atmosphere is one of quiet concentration and serene contentment, perfect for a Parisian evening dedicated to creativity and relaxation. The sounds of a distant accordion serenade drift through the open window. It's a languid waltz, the kind that makes you feel as if you're floating through a dream. Chanel pauses to listen, her eyes softening. Music, she thinks, is the ultimate accessory. Chanel sets her pencil aside and rises gracefully from her desk. She moves to a nearby table where an array of perfume bottles stand like crystalline soldiers. The scent of jasmine and rose fills the air, intermingling with hints of vanilla and bergamot. Her delicate fingers hover over the bottles, selecting one with a deep amber hue. It's the prototype of her next fragrance, a perfume she believes will embody the essence of a modern, independent woman. She uncorks the bottle and inhales deeply, a satisfied smile gracing her lips. Walking over to a full-length gilded mirror, Chanel takes a moment to admire herself. She wears her signature little black dress, a revolutionary creation that has empowered women to embrace simplicity and elegance. Her pearls rest lightly on her collarbone, capturing the moonlight that floods through the open window. Outside, the River Seine reflects the luminous aura of the city. The ripples of the water seem to play their own melody, a gentle lullaby that dances with the night air. Boats meander along the river, their passengers lost in the enchanting atmosphere that only Paris can provide. Chanel turns her attention to a record player resting on a nearby table. With a graceful touch, she sets the needle down on a vinyl of Edith Piaf's La Vie en Rose. As the room fills with Piaf's soulful voice, Chanel takes a seat by the window, her eyes closing gently. She revels in this moment of quiet solitude, her mind drifting through past and future, ever focused on the beauty of the now. The clock strikes midnight, but Chanel feels an unyielding sense of wakefulness. Inspired, she decides to indulge in an impromptu sojourn through the quiet streets of Paris. She slips on her tailored coat and secures a silk scarf around her neck. Stepping out into the crisp air, she locks her atelier behind her and ventures into the night. Her heels echo softly on cobblestone streets. Each step taking her deeper into the heart of the City of Light. She passes iconic landmarks like Notre Dame and the Louvre, both bathed in a celestial glow, their magnificence amplified by the stillness of the night. As she wanders, Chanel's thoughts gravitate towards her ever-evolving designs, her pioneering work in fashion that transformed the way women dress and see themselves. She reflects on her youthful days, her tenacity, her rise from an orphanage to the pinnacle of haute couture. Turning a corner, she finds herself at a charming bridge overlooking the Seine. It's almost as if the river has been waiting for her, its surface shimmering in the moonlight like a field of diamonds. She leans against the railings, taking a deep breath as she immerses herself in the sanctuary of serenity. Suddenly, from the shadows, a saxophonist begins to play. Filling the air with soothing jazz melodies that seem to emerge from the very soul of Paris itself. For a moment, Chanel feels entirely present, her essence melding with the beauty and complexity of the world around her. Continuing her walk, Chanel reaches the Latin Quarter, a place brimming with poetic history and artistic fervor. Even in the quietude of midnight, she can sense the spirits of writers and artists who once roamed these alleys. Voltaire, Sartre, and Picasso, to name a few. The thought of them stirs a creative spark within her, fueling her imagination like embers fanned by a soft breeze. Her journey takes her to a secluded garden, a little-known gem among the Parisian locals. Moonlight bathes the blooms in an ethereal glow, each petal appearing as if hand-painted by the night itself. Here, she feels a profound sense of peace, as though the flowers whisper secrets only she can hear. as she sits on a stone bench. Her eyes catch the delicate dance of a willow's branches, swaying softly to an inaudible lullaby of the wind. This serene choreography captures the essence of her own design philosophy. Effortless, natural, graceful. Not far from where she sits, a fountain murmurs its gentle song. The droplets of water seem to sparkle like tiny stars as they catch the moonlight before returning to their crystal pool. In this tranquil tableau, Chanel finds herself deeply moved. It's as if every element, the rustling leaves, the silver moon, and even the whispering wind, conspires to offer her a moment of perfect solitude and reflection. She feels the weight of her sketchbook in her bag, tempted to capture this night's inspiration on paper. But some moments, she realizes, are meant to be kept within, preserved in the memory like a precious jewel. Slowly, she rises, taking one last lingering look at the enchanting garden before reluctantly leaving. Chanel continues her moonlit expedition, crossing the Pont des Arts. The bridge is a symbol of Parisian romance, where countless lovers have sealed their affections with a padlock. Tonight, however, it is empty, just her and the silent Seine below. Its waters caressing the banks like an everlasting embrace. Every stone beneath her heels feels like a step through history, as she imagines the luminous figures who've walked this bridge before her. Hemingway, Fitzgerald, and other icons of the lost generation. Their restless spirits fill her with a profound sense of connection, as though the past and the present collide in one singular moment of timelessness. Her path leads her to the Isle de la Cité, where the Notre Dame Cathedral looms majestically against the backdrop of the star-studded sky. Though currently closed, the essence of the cathedral envelops her in an aura of divine tranquility. It is an architectural hymn sung in stone and stained glass, a sanctum of ethereal beauty, where human craftsmanship aspires to touch the divine. Beside the cathedral is a quaint bookshop, its windows inviting despite the late hour. She imagines the scent of aged paper and worn leather bindings. Though the shop is closed, its soul isn't confined by walls or time. The written words inside have lived through centuries, their messages still resonant, whispering their timeless truths to those who listen. Coco drifts into the Le Marais district, a part of Paris that has always intrigued her. Here, the old-world architecture creates intimate alleyways that wind like threads through a tapestry. she feels drawn to an art gallery. Its front window is a portal to a different world. One of oil paint, imagination, and emotion. The gentle ring of a bell announces her arrival as she steps inside. The space is dimly lit, allowing each painting to become a world of its own. She wanders among these universes, absorbing the artistry, the intricate stories depicted on each canvas. Like her own work, each piece represents a labor of love, a slice of someone's soul rendered in color and form. Exiting the gallery, she senses the slow, steady pulse of the night around her. The streets remain quiet, as if the city itself has taken a deep, meditative breath. The sky holds its dark hue, not yet ready to let dawn break the spell. Coco finds a bench beside a cobblestone path, canopied by ancient oaks. She sits, taking in the calm, the solitude, and the inspiration of the evening. A soft breeze rustles the leaves overhead, as though whispering secrets reserved only for the night. She closes her eyes, embracing the darkness and the serenity it brings. Here in Le Marais, surrounded by the whispers of centuries-old stones and the quiet promise of the trees, Coco feels a sense of unity with the artists and visionaries who came before her. The night serves as a velvet backdrop to the twinkling ideas that form constellations in her mind. As she sits there, her thoughts wander to the complexities of life and art, how they are forever intertwined, like the twisting lanes she's just explored. No dawn awaits her this night. Only the soft embrace of a Paris that understands her, as it has understood countless souls before her. She takes a deep, soulful breath, her heart full of inspiration, and rises from the bench. The gallery, the trees, the cobblestones, each has whispered its story to her. She wanders back towards her apartment, her steps lighter, her spirit calmer, all under the watchful eye of a Parisian night that never truly ends. Continuing her nocturnal journey, Coco meanders toward the Seine. The river mirrors the night sky, a liquid tapestry of dark blues and silvers. An antique bookshop catches her attention, its window displaying time-worn tomes and vintage postcards. She opens the door, and a soft chime sounds, as if granting her permission to enter this sanctuary of stories and histories. The scent of old paper and ink fills the air, comforting in its familiarity. Rows of wooden shelves stretch out before her, each holding a menagerie of experiences captured in bound paper. She touches the spine of a classic French novel, feeling a connection to the author, to all who have read these words and found solace or inspiration in them. As she exits, she carries with her not a physical book, but the ambience, the palpable feeling of timelessness. The evening continues to envelop her in its warm, silent embrace. encouraging her to live this moment fully, even as it leads her toward the promise of other magical nights yet to come. The Seine glimmers nearby, and she walks over to its edge. Paris's iconic bridges stretch out like arms, connecting different facets of the city. Much like the stitches in her designs, unify disparate elements into a harmonious whole. She finds a secluded spot by the river, where the water ripples softly against the embankment, murmuring its ancient lullabies. Here, Coco takes a seat and removes a small sketchbook from her bag. With deft strokes of her pencil, she captures the outline of a bridge, the curve of a street lamp, the delicate petals of a lone night-blooming flower. Each line is an affirmation, a small but significant act of immortalizing the ephemeral beauty surrounding her. As she sketches, she senses the world slowing down, each moment stretching out like spun silk. The tranquil cadence of the Seine, the distant sound of footsteps, the faint echo of a distant lullaby, all blend into a soothing symphony that seems to emanate from the very soul of Paris. She feels grateful for this evening, for the solitude and insight it has afforded her. With a final stroke of her pencil, she closes her sketchbook and slips it back into her bag. Rising to her feet, she takes one last look at the Seine, her silent companion for this introspective journey, and smiles. Coco begins her return journey to the cozy embrace of her atelier, taking a less traveled path that skirts a quiet park. The landscape is tinged in the soft glow of moonlight, and the leaves shimmer like emeralds against the dark sky. The city seems to be whispering a Parisian lullaby, bidding her a restful, dream-filled sleep. Each step carries a sense of completion, a subtle satisfaction that comes from a night well spent in quiet contemplation and creative nourishment. She knows she'll carry this evening with her, a reservoir of serenity to tap into during the bustling days that are sure to come. Approaching her atelier, she notices the familiar flicker of a single lamp in the window, left on as if to welcome her back from her night's journey. She unlocks the door and steps inside, greeted by the comforting aroma of her favorite jasmine tea and the sight of her sketches scattered across the table, like dreams paused in mid-flight. Coco takes off her coat and hangs it carefully, fully aware that another exciting day awaits her. But for now, the allure of a soft, warm bed calls to her. As she slips into it, her eyes fall upon the designs, fabrics, and notes that fill her space, each a testament to her boundless creativity and enduring passion. The night deepens around her, filling the room with an air of quiet mysticism. In the comforting darkness, Coco closes her eyes, feeling the pull of sleep grow stronger, like a gentle tide drawing her into a world of dreams. A sense of contentment washes over her, a peaceful end to a night of wandering, both physical and metaphysical. And as she drifts into sleep, she knows that the moon will continue its vigil. The Seine will keep its rhythmic flow. And Paris will always be there. An eternal muse in an ever-changing world.